Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another interesting combo to try out. It's a new choke that we haven't tested yet with a load that we haven't seen on the channel in a while, but for being a cheap shell, it has shown us some pretty decent results for what it is, so I'm curious to see what this combination will actually be able to give us. Now real quick right off the bat, I apologize if the microphone sounds a little different. Had to change some things up due to some microphone issues recently, so I'm still fine tuning some settings and stuff, so bear with me on that. But as for the shells I brought out here today, I got out some of the Kent Ultimate Turkey Diamond Shot shells. Now these are a 12 gauge 3-inch 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead number 4s, moving about 13-10 feet per second. Now from what I understand, the Diamond Shot is essentially just a pretty hard compound of lead. It's really nothing too out of the normal, to be honest with you, but these were, I believe, like $8.99 a box or something when I got them, and that's for 10 shells, so they're a little bit less, or maybe right at $1 a round, something like that. So definitely on the budget side for a turkey shell, but they have shown some pretty decent results overall in the past, so I guess we'll see what they can do through today's choke. But as for that setup we're going to run them through, I brought out my Remington 870 special purpose. It's got a 24-inch Carlson's barrel on it currently, but for that choke we've got a Rectifire Cyclone 670 constriction. Now we've tested a number of Rectifire Cyclone chokes in different constrictions over the last month or so, and they've been a little bit hit or miss. We've seen some good patterns out of them, some a little bit disappointing, but some of the shells we've run through them have been a little disappointing themselves across the board. So who knows, maybe this 670 constriction is going to work out perfectly with these Kent Ultimate Turkey 4s. They are a 4-shot, so I don't know, the little bit more breathing room might really help them out, but with that being a cheap shell, they might just need all the constriction they can get. I don't know yet, but we'll see what the Rectifire Cyclone 670 can actually give us. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how these Kent Ultimate Turkey 4s can do through the 870 with the Rectifire 670. Is it going to work out in our favor? I don't know yet, but let's take our shot and see what kind of pattern it gives us. Alright, so that shell gave us 12.95 through the chrono. The boss claim is 13.10, so from our 24-inch barrel, that velocity does make a lot of sense, but we are starting to get up there towards that 1300 feet per second mark, and these are a very basic load of lead 4s, so are we pushing them too fast at this point? I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but it's nothing too unexpected as far as velocity goes. So what kind of a pattern did we actually get down there at 40 yards? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and it's not looking very impressive. Now, yes, we do have a dead turkey there. There's one through the very top edge of the brain and a couple more down the spine, along with a few down in the body. So, yes, you would have gotten that turkey, but I think it's pretty obvious that 40 yards is the limit here for these shells when it comes to turkey hunting, at least through this combination of choke anyway. Because we've definitely seen way better out of these Kent Ultimate Turkeys than what this gave us. Now, yes, these are somewhere between an $8 and $10 a box type of shell. So should we expect Longbeard XR type performance out of them? Definitely not, especially when they're not a buffered payload or anything like that. These are about as basic as you can get. So we know they're not going to pattern just super duper impressive, but we've seen way better than that. We've seen much closer to like Winchester Super X type of performance out of them, where it's a pretty even spread and an overall circular kind of condensed pattern, and that's not at all what we saw here today. We really don't have much of a core at all here. There's just not really any more pellets there than there is anywhere else in the pattern, and we pretty much covered most of the entire rest of the paper in pellets here. There's a bunch of big voids and stuff all over the place in there, a lot of little clumpy stuff, especially over here off the left, so it's just not a good turkey pattern overall today. Now, yes, of course, in at 20, 25, 30 yards, that's going to be more than good enough to get the job done. And even at 40 yards, you would probably get it done pretty reliably, but I don't know that I would want to push that bill. So overall here today, yes, it's a cheap shell. Yes, it's a very basic loaded option, but this combo just did not perform all that great. Now, is it just the shells? Do they need more constriction? Is it a little bit of a disappointing choke? Maybe these shells just kind of suffer from cheap shell syndrome where they need all the constriction they can get. It could be either or a combination of the two at the same time. Either way, we've seen much better out of these. We know they can do much better. So this combo is just not the one that I'm looking for, but it was a 670 choke, so I figured we would try them and see what happens since they are a cheaper lead number 4. Sometimes a little more breathing room in your choke works out. Other times it just doesn't, and I don't really think it gave us what we were looking for here today. So maybe a little bit of a disappointing result, but it's not too totally surprising either, all things considered. And here's the wad out of that shell. It's a very basic design here, but as you can see, that Rectifire 670 tore it up pretty good. You've got a ton of rips and tears and pinholes and snags and everything all over the place. There's nothing stuck down in there, but considering when I fired this shot, I watched this wad fly about 10 yards and then make a pretty much 90-degree to the right turn and hit my building that's on the side of my range here. It definitely did some weird things and got caught up or something here. So maybe that has to do a little bit with the pattern we saw today. It's definitely a possibility, but it's definitely pretty banged up. There's no doubt about that. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? Simply, it's just not a great turkey pattern. If we were still allowed to use lead 4s and stuff for ducks or geese or whatever the case might be, that wouldn't be a terrible option. It would do the job decently well for that kind of scenario, but for a turkey combination, that's really just not what I want to see in my turkey setup. At close ranges, you're going to be perfectly fine. Even at 40 yards, you're probably going to get the job done, but that's really starting to push it for this combination. And even though that's a very cheap and basic shell, we've seen way better out of it, like I've already said. So this combination just did not quite work out together, but that's why you test as many different combos as you can to see what works and what doesn't. And I think we figured out that that combo doesn't work out very well. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Kent Ultimate turkey shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern you would hunt with? Or is it just a little bit too broad and kind of all over the place for you? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see us test with either those Kent Ultimate turkeys or that Rectifire Cyclone 670? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.